On Web Tips, take a virtual seat to see which row has the most legroom, if your seat is next to the restroom, and whether you'll be looking out over the wing. New regulations on passports reviewed in a conversation with TSA on Traveltelevision. Corporations have provided crucial support for the Gulf Coast rebuilding. In this episode, we visit a Habitat for Humanity worksite where corporate volunteers tell their stories. Habitat is creating a community for musicians in New Orleans. On Web Tips, help is only a click away on a website devoted to safe travel. All of these stories and more on Traveltelevision. And now, on to our first stop. United Way has a long history of support for communities around the USA. United Way's Hurricane Response and Recovery Fund helped 73 communities cope with all phases of response, from short-term relief to long-term efforts. With local United Way affiliates in many of the towns and cities affected by the hurricane, United Way works directly with homeowners and residents most in need of assistance. In this next piece, we'll talk to some of the hurricane survivors and hear their stories.
We watched the news the next morning. By that afternoon, we saw the devastation, and it hit us and everyone else in that shelter that there was no home to go back to. When we got in, what we found wasn't good at all. We lost, everything. So we were relaying our story to a lady at a clinic, a free clinic that's set up for evacuees for their medication. And she said, I have just the person for you to speak with at the United Way.
United Ways across the nation stepped up to the plate. Many of them, like Atlanta and Houston, Denver, and even smaller ones like Fort Smith, Arkansas, were asked by their local governments to lead coordination efforts, and that's exactly what they did. They sort of did one-stop shopping, where whatever the services were that were needed, they led them, they coordinated them, and worked with their partners in that community to make sure that people that needed the help got the help.
The United Way gave us pots and pans, utensils, Pampers, anything we needed. And they said, anytime we felt like we needed to come back for more supplies, just let them know.
I guess as all United Ways do, we knew that we had to assess the damage. And that damage for us included 3 counties. The greatest needs on the coast right now are help with mental health issues, the incidents of domestic violence, child abuse, substance abuse are certainly on the rise. We don't have child care facilities. We don't have after-school programs or summer programs for our children. And the third and biggest issue is the housing. There's no place for people to live. There are still people in tents and in FEMA trailers all along the coast.
One of the largest and most critical needs that we found that we had was the ability to communicate and get information out to people. Numerous people were looking for loved ones, family members that had gotten displaced in the middle of the event, and also people just looking for how to get services to meet their basic needs, and that seemed to be the biggest event or the biggest need that we encountered.
In March, we had the pleasure of Storm Corps taking place on the coast, and this was an effort between United Way of America, MTV, Home Depot, FedEx, and they brought 100 college students from all across the country in to work on projects here on the coast. They worked in 4 of our agencies, doing everything from pulling sheetrock out and mitigating mold to rebuilding playgrounds.
Really here to just help out wherever we can. I know it'll make a great impact, and it's all about community partnership.
We are looking forward to them being continuing to be a part of the rebuilding, the recovery, and the renewal of South Mississippi. That's part of the calling that we have as being a part of United Way, is to look at the community and say, what is it that needs to be done?
Community spans beyond just where we live. It really is all of the United States. So whoever needs help, whenever, you lend a helping hand, and that's what this project is about.
You would think after a year that everything's okay there, but that's just not the case. The people in the Gulf region have a lot of needs still, whether it be for housing, employment, mental health issues are a huge thing there, and child care remains to be a problem. We're committed to being there to seeing these issues through. Whether it's 5, 7, 10 years, United Way will be there.
And the one assuring thing is that people care, and especially people like the United Way.
Good evening. We are speaking with Amy Kudwa from TSA, a branch of Homeland Security. Amy is going to tell us some of the ins and outs of the new regulations with the security at airports. And specifically, Amy, international harmonization, where does that start and where does it end, or does it end?
Well, it doesn't really. It starts at the very basic level of information sharing, which is very important. Going back to last August with the discovery of the UK liquid explosives plot, we moved very quickly with our partners over in the UK and elsewhere in the world to very quickly implement security measures that protected the American traveling public. Following on that, in November of 2006, a number of different international communities moved to the exact same procedures that we have in place in the US with the 311. It's 3 ounces here, it's 100 milliliters for metric system countries.
Right.
It's now encompasses the EU, Australia, a number of Asian countries, which is just really helpful for travelers so that they're encountering the same rules everywhere, not trying to keep track of different policies for all over the world.
Well, how about the liquid that we all like to pick up duty free at the airports, like a good bottle of wine or a good bottle of scotch? What happens to that?
That is a bit nuanced, and I'm glad you asked about that. Anytime you purchase liquids on the sterile side, that is fine, and you can carry those on board with you. When you arrive in the U.S., however, you'll get your luggage back and you'll go through customs. At that point, you leave the sterile area of the airport and you will be re-screened to make your connecting flight. So when you do that, when you go through customs, you need to take anything that you've purchased that's liquid and gel at duty-free and put that in your checked luggage. Because even though you bought it in a sterile area, you cannot bring that back through a checkpoint. So it's very important to put that in your checked bags, because liquids are fine in checked luggage. You simply can't carry it on for your connecting flight.
So I can, whenever I change planes at the airport, I can open my luggage and put the liquid, the bottle of scotch into my case, and that's allowed.
When traveling internationally, yes, you'll get your luggage back. If you're traveling domestically, however, and you just have a connection, you're not going to leave the sterile area of the airport. So if you have a connection in Dallas, for example, and you pick up a bottle of water in a shop in the airport, you can carry that on board with you, walk off your flight, walk to your connecting gate. You never have to go through security again, so you're fine there.
Very good. The liquid gels cover shampoos. What all liquid gels are allowed?
Well, obviously, we see most of the time it impacts toiletries. For gentlemen, it's the shaving cream and the deodorant. For women, it's makeup. It also does, however, apply to food, anything that's liquid, gel, or aerosol. So that can be duty-free alcohol, it can be perfume, it can be your toiletries. There are exceptions, of course. Saline solution, that's considered medically necessary. So you can carry something larger than 3 ounces. You just need to declare it to the officer when you get to the checkpoint. If you have medications, of course, just declare those in advance. Breast milk for mothers is the same.
And the aerosols, of course, is the shaving cream and anything with a spray in it.
Right, exactly. Hairspray, deodorant, there's a number of different applications.
Right.
Spray cheese is one that we encountered that we didn't expect.
Spray cheese.
People traveling with spray cheese, who knew?
I never heard of that. What's spray cheese?
Easy cheese, it's something that comes out of a can, you can squirt it onto a cracker. It does apply to that, so make sure you've got a good sense of what you're traveling with, because we've seen it all, but we still can't create a fully exhaustive prohibited items list because of the broad range of things that people travel with.
That's very, very interesting. Thank you very much, Amy.
When you're tired of the humdrum hotel lobby, or you think it would be more interesting to pretend you're back in time enjoying scones and homemade preserves on a long pine dining room table, maybe you should go back to the future and consider staying in a cozy bed and breakfast. Now, we wouldn't recommend you doing this without the advice and thorough once-over from the B&B Squad, also known as bedandbreakfast.com. The site provides a comprehensive worldwide listing of bed and breakfasts, B&B homestays, and country inns, all presented in a searchable database. And to make it even more appealing, The site serves as a clearinghouse for all things bed and breakfast. Here is one place to find out which inns have the best food, which B&Bs are offering special discounts or special events, read guest reviews, buy certificates for the most unique gift you could ever give, and in general plan a vacation or a short weekend that takes you off the main road and allows you to let your hair down and unwind, all without any compromise. Be sure to sign up for their informative newsletter and check the site regularly.
Absolutely amazed at the number of volunteers who have come, who have seen a need and continue to come. I did not know how to respond to a natural disaster, and I am awestruck, stunned, amazed, shocked, thrilled that so many people have come and continue to come.
Hi there, my name is Marla Schofer. I'm Karen Krausen.
I'm Alex Strong.
Elise Townsend, and this is my daughter, Susan Shobin.
In New Orleans, Louisiana, Habitat for Humanity is transforming a vacant school lot into a village for the musicians displaced by Hurricane Katrina. The Musicians Village, conceived by Branford Marsalis and Harry Connick Jr., will include the Ellis Marsalis Center for Music, dedicated to music education within the community. Instead of a down payment, future homeowners contribute 350 hands-on hours of their time building the homes in the community. When the mortgages are repaid, the money flows back into the community to finance new homes for other low-income families, creating a continuous cycle of growth, hope, and change.
Musicians Village is a virtual project. It represents an outreach to musicians, a special recruitment area, a special effort to get to inform them of the program and give them the opportunity.
Housing is still incredibly important. Home ownership is still incredibly important. But a great need for our city now is affordable housing, to bring people back, to get people back in our city so that people can take the jobs. There's jobs here. It's just finding a place for people to live so that they can then get back and be a part of the workforce.
It gives me so much gratification to be able to be here and to also become a homeowner of my own, something that I have been looking forward to for a very long time.
I think it's magical that an organization like Habitat is giving us the opportunity to stay in New Orleans. It's such a great feeling to be able to work in my own house, so in other people's houses. I think the whole idea of Habitat to give the opportunity.
Habitat really has the right program going in that the homeowner has a sense of pride. They come, they work along with us, sweat equity along with us, they put in their hours, and then they buy their home.
This is my 4th day out now, and it makes me feel very proud. It makes me feel wonderful. I can't describe the feeling because it's a great feeling.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
Mark Murphy here in the American Cemetery overlooking Omaha Beach. One of the beaches where U.S. troops came ashore during the D-Day invasion, the other one being Utah Beach. This cemetery houses 9,387 U.S. troops, a small fraction of the troops lost in the Battle for Normandy, which took place from June 6, 1944, until August 21st, when Paris was finally taken. I'm standing in Arromanches. In Arromanches, an artificial harbor was created. It was originally envisioned by Winston Churchill. The challenge in terms of liberating Europe via France was the fact that the Germans controlled all of the ports. They were heavily fortified from land and from sea. So Winston Churchill actually envisioned creating an artificial harbor, and that artificial harbor was built in Great Britain and literally brought over here in pieces and dropped off the coast in the days following the D-Day invasion. You can still see the remains of it out there about 2 kilometers off the beach, and you can also see some of the remains right here physically on the beach. It's an impressive sight. Here in Arromanches, there's a D-Day museum, and in that museum, they'll provide visitors with a couple of different movie clips that provide some history as to what took place here In addition, there are replicas. You'll see some equipment, you'll see mines, you'll see weapons, you'll see uniforms, you'll see quotes from some of the figures that were involved in the build-up to this invasion, as well as that took place in the invasion itself. In addition, you'll see model replicas of literally what took place here on D-Day. We conclude our tour of the beaches of Normandy here at Pointe du Hoc, which was a strategic point that overlooked both Omaha Beach and Utah Beach and was held by the Germans at the point of the D-Day invasion. A group of 225 Rangers were sent to scale a 100-foot cliff right off the shore here to take this stronghold. After 48 hours, they successfully did that, with only 90 of the 225 remaining combat ready.
This is something that I can do. I know how to do it. It's just outreach.
When Dick Reese found out his church, First United Methodist of Gallatin, Tennessee, would be helping hurricane survivors, he was all for it. But the evacuees he's sheltering are of the half-ton, four-legged variety.
Hungry, aren't you, fella?
Reese's family has been in the mule business for 3 generations. So when the New Orleans levees broke, he knew carriage mules used in the tourist trade were in danger.
Without saying anything to me at all, he started calling because he was so concerned about that.
The first lady I talked to, she thought that she had lost all of her mules, and she was devastated.
Turns out the mules had been taken to higher ground. Dick sent trucks and brought more than 30 animals to his farm. They'll stay as long as it takes for New Orleans to come back.
There are probably, I'm going to say, 120 mules that work on the streets in New Orleans, and that'd be 120 families with no income. That's what really hit me as hard as anything.
Some of the carriage drivers have already contacted Reese wanting to come visit their mules. Reese says it's a testament to the animals' appeal.
They just have personalities to them, like this little fella that likes to have his picture taken. People get attached to him. Leave my truck alone. Go away. Get.
I'm just thankful that they are healthy and are being able to go back to what they've been doing, and that my husband was a very big part of this.
Corporate support for the rebuilding efforts took many forms. Through corporation foundations, donations were made to the Red Cross for relief efforts. Many companies provided in-kind donations. The Clorox company provided over 1 million trash bags and cleaning supplies for the cleanup. They also provided support by encouraging employees to volunteer their time to the recovery efforts. In this story, we'll talk to a Pine Sol employee who was working at a habitat site as part of a company-sponsored work program.
Okay, I'm Alex Strong. I work for the Clorox company down here in Bay St. Louis, doing some charity work with Habitat for Humanity and rebuilding the coast. This is a company-sponsored event. I actually work for the Clorox facility in Jackson, Mississippi. We make the Pine Sol all over the world. And just want to get the word out to all the other companies and sponsors. It's a great idea. It's a great event to have company-sponsored events like this where you represent your company and give your employees an opportunity to see what's going on around them and the devastation that has taken place in the state of Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. It's been a great opportunity to work with Habitat for Humanity. I started out in Jackson, framing the first 25 houses that came down to the coast, and ended up here in Bay St. Louis doing some more rebuilding. We were asked to come down and represent our company, and we did. I'll be down for 2 days. We're sending people in, hourly employees, also managers to represent the company once again here in Bay St. Louis.
hear stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
Have you ever boarded a plane only to be disappointed by a poor seating choice? Did you want the bulkhead but end up sitting next to Mr. and Mrs. Bulk, or worse, crying baby bulk? Well, at SeatGuru, that's a thing of the past. At SeatGuru.com, you have the choice to examine the seating charts and features before selecting a seat. SeatGuru offers virtual layouts for most of the major airline models. The site has other useful information, including food choices, laptop power options, audio entertainment, baggage policies, and more. It's easier to choose the best airline for your particular needs with SeatGuru's airline comparison charts. To make sure you don't get stuck in a bad seat, check out SeatGuru.com before you book.
Executive Director and founder of Relief Spark, which is a nonprofit here in New Orleans. We support a network of other grassroots nonprofits by supplying them with volunteers, marketing, and PR support. The nonprofit we work with is Animal Rescue New Orleans. They were extremely active during the storm, and especially post-Katrina, by rescuing dogs off the street that were abandoned by their families or left behind by their families.
My name is Robin Bolio, and ARNA was started in October of '06, shortly after the storm, when all of the major groups were pulling out of the area. And at that time, we realized thousands of people had not been allowed to return home yet, and we knew there were many animals still on the streets. 50,000 animals were left behind for Katrina.
New Orleans is a nonprofit that sends volunteers into people's homes to exchange light bulbs for energy efficient light bulbs.
My name is Andy Hoffman. I'm from New Orleans, and I'm the Executive Director for Greenlight New Orleans. If you look at a CFL light bulb, a CFL light bulb saves about 75% of electricity. That comes down to about $45 to $50 over the lifetime of the light bulb. That is between 5 to 7 years. They last for 10,000 hours. So if you have the possibility to put 20,000 light bulbs into the community in New Orleans, the savings of electricity is about $1 million.
Another nonprofit that I really like is St. Bernard Community Center. That's operated by IRA. And St. Bernard Community Center is it's like the one-stop shop.
My name is Ira Nabatoff, and I'm from New Hampshire. We're a network resource. We're here for our partner nonprofit and faith-based groups, and we're here for residents trying to help enable them in their return. We run an internet media lab. We have a phone bank of Vonage voice over internet protocol phones. We run our mustard seed distribution. It's non-perishable food, hygiene items, and household supplies. And we do a community meal every Tuesday.
help for the next 10 to 15 years to fully recover. New Orleans is a very beautiful city. We offer volunteers an amazing experience, that combination of fusing the nonprofit programs with the rich culture and arts and entertainment of what New Orleans has to offer. We are always looking for additional volunteers and groups to come out and work with us on the ground.